Hello, it's Amy Rich again with another of the 12 Projects of Christmas 2015. I know this doesn't look much like a Christmas project, but when you think about it, photo albums make a great gift, and homemade photo albums, especially mini albums, are even better. So I'm going to show you today how to create this one-of-a-kind, adorable mini album. And the idea is one that I found on Pinterest from Sis Patterson. So thank you, Sis, for the idea. I'm going to start out with a sheet of 12 by 12 early espresso cardstock, and I've got it on my Simply Scored tool. And I'm going to score at 3 7/8, or 2 3/8, I'm sorry, and 7 1/4. And then I'm going to flip that so that the 2 3/8 inch scored mark is closest to the top. And then I'm going to score at 3 7/8, at 4 1/8, so it's just a 1/4 inch more, at 8 inches, and 8 1/4 inches. Okay, so you can see I have a nice grid going on my cardstock. Then with my paper snips, I'm going to trim out these little 1/4 inch sections right here, which is going to be the top of my mini album. So there are 2 of those, and I'm also going to do that at the bottom. So these are longer pieces. I'm just going to trim those out. And this is going to create a little bit of depth for our album so that we can fit our pictures and our memorabilia in there without stretching the album too badly. Okay, and now that we've cut all of those pieces, we're going to trade out our Simply Scored with our trimmer. And then we're going to take the pieces that are across the top, and we're actually going to put the scored mark onto our trimmer at 1 3/4. And you can see the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer has a 1 3/4 mark on the outside, so it's easy to see. And then we're going to trim all these off. Okay, now I'm just going to show you how to fold this and what to do with a few of the pieces. Okay, so first of all, we're going to take this upper right hand piece and we're going to corner round that. And once again, I'm going to bring in my favorite Stampin' Up! Corner rounder, which is actually our envelope punch board. And we're going to trim those corners. Nice and neat. Then I'm going to use our Into the Woods Designer Series paper to decorate this album. I've taken a piece here that is 3 3/8 by 4 1/8, and I'm going to mount that on a 3 1/2 by 4 1/4 inch piece of Daffodil Delight cardstock. It'll give it a little bit of a border. Keep moving around here. Okay, and then we're also going to decorate the flap, and I've already prepared that piece, and you can see I've used a little bit of the Designer Series paper again, along with some Daffodil Delight, and I rounded those corners so that it's going to match perfectly when I mount it onto this flap right here. Before I do that, I'm going to take my paper piercing mat, and then I'm going to grab my 1 inch circle punch and just a scrap of early espresso cardstock. And then I'm going to lay these circles where I'm going to want them on my page. So this one will be really close to the middle and a little towards the top. We're just going to lay them on there. and pierce a hole as close to the middle of the circle as you can. And then we'll take our mini brads, and then we're going to attach the circle to our cardstock just using that brad. Then when the time comes to put the linen thread around these circles like this, then the linen thread will go around the circles without a problem. So don't adhere those circles with adhesive or you're going to have issues with your linen thread. All right, so once the brads are in there and ready to go, then we're just going to take our 2-inch circle punch a little notch out of this piece. And then now we'll go back in and attach it to our mini album. And then we'll take our 2-inch circle punch and punch out, just use the other one as a template and punch out the espresso piece. All right, and then we'll adhere this piece onto the flap as well. Okay, and then you can add that linen thread around those circles. Now, just to show you how I got these flaps right here, I just simply took my paper snips and I trimmed a triangle off of the corner of this flap. Then I'm going to flip that triangle over and then I'm going to mount it on the other corner and then just use it as a template to trim that off. That way you're going to have an even flap. Doesn't matter what shape the flap is in necessarily, but just that you cut a triangle out of any shape. And then you can use these pieces to do the same on the other side. Let me show you again the finished project. All right, so on the front, I used the Vintage Leaves stamp set. And of course, the stamp set also has framelits that match. So I used those to cut out the leaves inside the circle. And then I used linen thread to tie that off. Then the little remember, just a really simple title for this album, comes from the Project Life Moments Like These stamp set. So Project Life by Stampin' Up! Has produced a few stamp sets that are made specifically to use in your scrapbooking projects, and this little remember comes from this stamp set. Then I've used, of course, the Into the Woods Designer Series paper to decorate, as well as colors of cardstock that match. I have created a pocket here so you can put a photo or a tag of some sort in there, or some memorabilia like a ticket or something that you want to keep and remember. And then, of course, you have this pocket here that I showed you how to create. So this is a really fun album, and even though it doesn't look like a Christmas project, wouldn't it make a great Christmas gift? So I hope you've enjoyed the 5th project of the 12 projects of Christmas, and I'll see you again next time.
Hark the herald angels sing. Hark the herald angels sing. Glory to the new